So the topic of the conference is the challenge of growth. Although I think it originally meant some positive kind of meaning, as Richard said yesterday, in the economic field, the topic of growth is more ambivalent. It's not clear. Some weeks ago I was at a conference of ATTAC. Does anyone know ATTAC? It's an alternative movement in the world against globalization and to make the consequences of globalization more human. And it was had the topic beyond growth. There is something beyond growth. Growth is not a value per se. So we have to look at this in the organizational field maybe from a different perspective than in the individual growth area. But in my eyes, our challenge in organizational TA is still to assess, conceptualize, and influence the whole organization, or relevant parts or subsystems of it. Thomas and Anita yesterday had very interesting workshops also about this topic, and we will follow this today too. It also means to say goodbye to a TA of repair. Organizational TA doesn't mean a TA of repair. And looking in the past, in organizations we have to build and focus future. That is a totally different perspective we have in organizations. Sure, sometimes we are asked into an organization to repair something, but it's the topic of an organization is to be in the present and to go to the future. And for organizations, the challenge is qualitative growth. Particularly the competitive economy game that nations are playing in the globalized world brings us in economic terms tremendous external costs, spoken in economic language, or to say it in a normal language, it ruins resources and environment. Therefore we have to talk about the qualitative growth and not on a quantitative level. People in organizations often are used to. So the solution is cooperation and competition in the frame of certain rules. So I'm very glad that we have come together to show the variety and the power of modern application of TA in organizations. And I would like to invite you today to think about solutions, how we can contribute to concepts that give us guidance in consulting and change for whole organizations. From the one-to-one expertise in TA work, we are strong, for example, in fields like coaching. But we have to transfer that or spread that for the whole organization. So I have given some information about the agenda and the schedule already. And now let us come to the topic of the organizational world today. And I'd like to start with some important megatrends. Megatrends are major developments in economy and society that have to be answered by a professional method. In modern organizational, TA is able to do that. To be a transactional analyst in the tradition of Byrne doesn't mean to be a devotee to Byrne's models of the 1950s and 1960s. This means to view the present and to construct models with optimal reduction of complexity about human behavior. And transactional analysis today means to follow the process how Byrne did it. Byrne doesn't copy, Byrne doesn't download from others, but he was a genius and he made his own models. And this kind of creativity, I think, is very much asked in organizational TA. Now to the megatrends. In a project for companies, we made a survey from our company. We made a survey regarding trend and future research. 6 megatrends resulted. The first 4 will not surprise you, and the 5th and the 6th are very relevant for psychological processes. So let me come to the first. The first megatrend is not surprising for you. It's the extension of human life. People are becoming older. By the medical system, even chronic disease people can live. In this point, TA offers help and support for a good life. But let me ask, what is with the question that we have a lot of people today who become older than their scripts? Yeah. Maybe the script is made for 65 or 70 years, and I think that is an interesting question, because a lot of scripts are not these dramatic scripts, but banal scripts, but they have also some kind of schedule, and people are becoming older than their script today. So the next point in the megatrends is the one world trend. We see it here. The whole world is coming closer by trade, by information, by immigration, and by traveling. In this point, TA is globalized since many years. We should keep this asset. The next one is women power. In management and as part of the economy, women influence is increasing all over the world. TA is very much influenced by female power. So we had an ITA president, a woman, now we have a IATA president as a woman, and then if you look around in the conference, the female power is, women power is you can feel it in the organization. So the fourth mega trend, also not surprising for you, is resource question, resource problems. The end of a lot of resources is foreseeable. We can see that, we can count on this. TA helps to redirect people's mind to inner processes, away from outside materialism. This saves resources. So let me come to the ones that are more psychological. These 4 are also relevant, as I said, for organizations, but now we come more to psychological ones. And the 5th that we found out in our company research. So we read all the literature about future research and megatrends, and the result were these 6 points. The 5th was cognitive and technical complexity. We cannot understand a computer or even a car. 20 years ago, maybe some of you could repair the car themselves. Today it's impossible, that no one understands how the computer and the car functions, and that's the same with other things. We don't really understand things. Another example is the financial system, for example. No one did really understand it, and that brought a lot of impacts in the whole world economy, and it's now when you ask people, they are still feeling somehow insecure with the economic and financial system in the world. TA modeling, on the other hand, tries to offer optimal reduction of complex processes. So we are in a tradition to help people to get along with this complexity. So we are trained in all this kind of certification and training we have is to make people trained in building models and to reduce complexity to an optimal level, not to make it too simple, but to make it workable. The next trend is individualization and emotional complexity. Today we are confronted with more options, information and variety. As I was a boy, we had one telephone company. Now we have, I don't know how many telephone companies in Germany with, I think around 300 or 400 tariff systems or fee systems that you can choose. It's a kind of freedom and liberty and options that brings a lot of stress for for people by the many options they have and emotional stress. And there is a suggestion in it, an indirect suggestion, to speak it in hypnotherapeutical language, that people have a lot of options and there is an individual lifestyle possible, but on the other hand, this many options have a lot of stress factors. People are told that they can have their individually designed life by adjusted material products. On the other hand, community aspects decrease in relevance. We, TA people, are focused on the corrective position to that. We focus on relations and relational needs. And I think that is an asset I think one of the major contributions of Eric Byrne was to highlight the need for relationship, as Richard said yesterday, or the need for strokes, to speak in Steiner's TA. So especially the last two that I mentioned, really psychological trends seem to offer opportunities for TA with its tradition of modeling processes. Now I'd like to come to organizations seen as a whole entity. Every model of organization is a construction of reality. There is no organization or no perfect organizational model. So if you construct an organizational model, you focus on certain aspects, and on the other hand, you do not focus on others. I don't want to call it discounting, but you are valuing some points and others not. So for the assessment, development and management of companies, out of the literature in organizational research, I developed a four-field organizational model. It outlines perspectives for diagnosis, assessment, organizational development and interventions in organizations on the base of the analysis of transactions. It highlights the prefactors of economic numbers. If you look at the numbers, you are at the end of the pie. You can't, if you look into the balance of a big company, you see the numbers, they are very relevant, but you have no influence. You have to go to the prefactors that have an impact on the numbers later. Influence has to start earlier. The four fields are organizational structure, system structure, and I will explain what I mean, but I call it the star system because these 10 dimensions that are in between are going like the arrows of a star to the outside, and you can see it also to the inside. And then first there's system structure or organizational structure. Then you have a system process, organizational process. You have system balances, and you have organizational pulsation. I will now come to the details in it.